The upcoming full moon happening this Wednesday, November 5th at 8:19 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Please adjust for wherever you are in the world. Will be happening at 11 degrees Aries, opposing the sun at 0 degrees Libra. And if you're like, hey, wait a minute, that doesn't sound right, this is because we are using the visible sky. This is alchemical astronomy, otherwise known as true sidereal 13 sign astrology. Sidereal translating to of the stars, because FYI, tropical Western astrology has nothing to do with the stars at all. So sidereal means of the stars. True sidereal means that we recognize the uneven sizes of the constellations that are known as the zodiac. This is where the alchemical astronomy piece comes in, because we're literally looking at where everything is, the star groupings that they're moving through, and then bingo bango, you have astrology as a primary experience. So the uneven zodiac and then the inclusion of Ophiuchus. This is my first full moon video using the brand new web-based software from masteringthezodiac.com. It's called True Sky. I am not affiliated. I would like to be, but for now, I'm just stoked to share this information with y'all. It's way more accessible than the previous software, and this is going to be a game changer for this lens of astrology. So the lunation itself, always with the full moon, we have the sun opposing the moon. And this one is happening on the Aries Libra axis, although just barely Libra for the sun. So we're going to bring a little bit of that Virgo energy into the sun's power of illumination. So the sun is illuminating the energy of Libra, which is all about balance, relationships, justice. And then Virgo, which is all about getting your frickin' poop in a group, making a plan, the alchemist, the engineer, the organizer. Okay, so we have that energy with the sun, and then the moon being in Aries, which is the sign of the self. Both cardinal energies, so we have that initiating oomph to this lunation, and at this point of the lunar cycle, it's the halfway point. It's kind of a check-in for what the intentions that we set at the last new moon, which was on the Virgo and Pisces axis, the higher octave of Virgo, since it was the second lunar cycle that started with that energy of refinement and improvement, the mutable earth of Virgo. So now we are checking in with the intentions that you set as far as coming up with a plan, some sort of flexible structure in order for you to lead a more magical existence, moving from the external locus to the internal, from the head to the heart. Okay, so where are you at with that? And with it being in the cardinal energies, it's all about initiating or taking another step forward. The moon being the magnetic feminine energy, as far as the lunation is concerned, when it's at its fullest, it's going to be bringing things to the surface in order for you to look at that shit and alchemize it, okay? And with it being in Aries, it might be a little fire, okay? Like Aries is a bit aggressive. It's ruled by Mars, right? It's like the warlord kind of energy. So you might be feeling a bit spicy as far as your feelings. You might be feeling a bit volatile, impulsive. You might find yourself reacting more than responding with this kind of energy. And even as I'm recording this, we're getting within the orb of that. So you might be feeling it. There's some other stuff going on that could be causing that as well. But just the lunation itself with the moon in Aries, it's going to be bringing themes to the surface as far as yourself, your identity, putting yourself first, how you think about yourself, that kind of idea. And then with the sun at the cusp of Libra and Virgo, this is bringing an energy of illumination to the themes of relationships, balance, and then organization. There's no aspects to the sun or the moon specifically with this lunation. I mean, there's a lot going on, a lot of communication between the planets otherwise. But as far as this opposition, it's the only thing that the sun and the moon are both involved in, which is kind of interesting. It gives this like mirror energy without any sort of interference, like a pure polarity between the self and the other. And it's also kind of giving this idea of like your inner landscape, right? The moon in Aries is like how you see yourself, and then that being reflected in the world, because that's the secret. The inverted society has taught us the other way around, but in actuality, your reality is created by how you feel and what you think internally. Now, as far as other aspects going on, and we do have, as you can see, a good amount of interaction between the other players. Most notably, as far as tension is concerned, we've got some oppositional energy between Uranus and Taurus. So Uranus and Taurus is like innovation, freedom, sudden changes, shocks in Taurus, which is your physical reality, your surroundings, your home, your resources, all of the material realm kind of stuff, essentially. So that is opposing Lilith and Mars in Libra, as well as Mercury fresh in Scorpio. And like Mars is pretty cuspy there, we will say as well. So Mars is the ruler of Scorpio as well. That fixed water, the deep, dark emotions, right? So Mercury being there already has this energy of like the mysterious. Lilith, Black Moon Lilith being the feminine rage, the repressed feminine energy in Libra is bringing this energy of like, I will not take it anymore. And when it comes to your relationships, with others, so the systems, the patriarchy, all of that kind of energy. And then Mars right in the mix there as well, right on the cusp of Libra with the relational kind of vibe, and then Scorpio with the deep, dark ego, the collective unconscious, all of that. So all this together could potentially lead to situations where conversations are a bit spicy. Like you might have some interpersonal turbulence. You might feel like you can't bite your tongue anymore when it comes to certain situations. Your nervous system, especially with the lunation, the moon being full and that really activating emotional volatility in everybody. Just be mindful as far as the words that you're choosing and the battles that you're wanting to fight at this point. Like really, I would say don't fight anything. If you're experiencing any sort of stickiness or relational turbulence, remember it's all an invitation for you to look at what is that doing for you? Why is that coming into your experience? What is the lesson that your soul is calling for you to recognize? Because ultimately, everything outside of you is you in another body. You don't need to fight anything. So if you're feeling like you need to fight something, you need to take a beat, ground yourself, calm your body down, and turn your attention inwards. Just take a moment, okay? The energy could lead to some impulsive decisions that you might regret. And remember, there's no mistakes. So, I mean, there shouldn't be regrets either, but some decisions take us towards expansion and some take us towards contraction, another loop-de-loop around the cluster frick that is the matrix, right? The external locus of control. So some of the decisions with this kind of volatility in the sky, there's a potential to make a decision that might sign you up for another round of something that you've already done. So just take a moment, shake that shit off, come to my full moon circle, check out some of the playlists that I've got as far as somatic dance, because that is my go-to when it comes to shaking density out of my tissues, out of my auric field, so that I can make decisions from a more clear mind. And this is coming from somebody with an Aries, Mars, and Mercury. So like I feel that volatility and impulsivity. And so I'm just bestowing this wisdom upon you from somebody who has put their foot in their mouth and burned more bridges than I can count. And, you know, that sometimes took me the long way to where I wanted to go. So if you're trying to get there faster, take a freaking beat, calm yourself down before you say something that is going to take you down a road that is way out of the way. Okay. So we got that kind of turbulence, that kind of shocking, spicy energy going along here. Then we've also got almost a grand cross, kind of tension on tension on tension, also involving some relational themes with Venus in Virgo opposing Chiron in Pisces, and then Pluto in Capricorn opposing Jupiter in Gemini. So basically here, Venus in Virgo wants perfection, purity, nice clean lines when it comes to your love, your relationships, your values, your worth. Chiron in Pisces is bringing up all your biggest wounds around your feminine receiving energy, your intuition, your magic. Jupiter in Gemini is wanting you to expand a new thought paradigm and be curious about entertaining more than one perspective. And Pluto in Capricorn is dismantling all of the old systems, everything that is reinforcing the external locus of control, the patriarchy, the hustle and the grind, all of that, all the outdated programs that have been running for generations. Okay. So over the next 16 years, Pluto is going to be dismantling those systems. Okay. So we've got tension between expanding a new paradigm, the current systems still existing and needing to be destroyed because the physical world moves slower than the energetic. this energy of refinement and improvement. This makes the cut, this doesn't, as far as your relationships and your values. And then like your biggest wounds around showing up as a magical human, because all humans are meant to be magical, but we definitely have been persecuted for this historically, right? So we're going to have this like push pull grand cross kind of energy as far as all of these players are concerned. And ultimately it is bringing themes to this lunation as far as like analysis and improvement and surrender to what is, control and the physical world and the systems that are necessary for that, and faith in the etheric and what is lying beyond the material realm. Essentially, the healing happens here when you can release the idea of there being a correct way to do anything and surrender to everything exactly as it is right now. Sit in that place of neutrality, hold the vision of a new paradigm without allowing your current circumstances to dictate how you feel. You got to run on faith and fumes until the physical world catches up. Do not allow your circumstances to make you feel anything other than what you want to feel, because that is the only thing that you have control over in this realm, is how you feel. It's the other way around. We can't exert changes in the physical world without changing the internal first. Anything that you change physically is going to revert back unless you've made that adjustment internally first, because that is how it works. Okay, and then finally, we've also got some supportive energy. So I like to dig right into the tension first. But then there is also like almost a castle kind of formation happening here with the supportive aspects of trines and sextiles involving these three players here: Lilith, Mars, and Mercury, and Libra and Scorpio kind of energies, Jupiter and Gemini. We've got Uranus in Taurus, and then Saturn and Neptune in Pisces, as well as Pluto in Capricorn. Okay, so they're all coming together. There's like a mystic rectangle-ish happening here, and then a grand trine-ish happening here. Not all of these are exact, but they're close enough to be influencing the field, okay? And altogether that creates a castle, which is a very supportive aspect pattern between all of these outer players, basically. They're building the foundation for this collective evolution that we're experiencing, moving from the head to the heart, from the external to the internal, from the hustle and the grind to the rest and receive. Essentially, this is giving alchemy under construction. There is all this pressure, and the external world is trying to draw you into another round of the BS matrix control. But if you can withstand the pressures of the external circumstances, calm your body down and turn your attention inwards with enough patience and precision and persistence, then you can see the curation of a new reality. There's all of this support from all of these big players coming together, creating this mystical symphony of perfection in order to facilitate these events. Now, remember though, folks, astrology is not totally predetermined, okay? Predetermination and free will exist at the same time. So we've got these conditions that are being curated to facilitate these sorts of events, which makes it easier to do certain things like pierce through the veil and curate a new reality based on an entirely magical set of principles where you can literally do and be anything that you want. And then there's also a timeline or a set of potentials available to you where you can double down on the old paradigm, the hustle and the grind, work harder, like all of that kind of energy, right? So you can choose either one of those potentials. And so some of the collective are going to choose heart-centered magic. Some of them are going to choose the old way of hustle and grind and seek material safety until you die, right? Like that is just the nature of things. So and all this relational themes, all the interpersonal turbulence and shifts and changes as far as group dynamics and interpersonal relationships are concerned is part of that process, right? So anything that's trying to leave your life right now, let that shit go. Don't let it go from a place of like, frick you. I mean, you can if you want. Again, Aries, Mars, and Mercury, okay? But so if you feel like you need to do that, you can. However, I would caution you against being aggressive or butthurt about anything at this time, because again, it doesn't matter what you're saying. It matters how you feel when you're saying it, right? So if you can say, frick you, get the frick out of my life without being contracted about it, then have at her, but it's hard to do that. Okay. So it's about letting things leave from a place of neutrality. Remember, the homeostasis of the middle path is the key to success, because you can't stop bad things from happening. There is no bad. Everything is polarity, right? So for every good thing that happens, there is a bad one. So you can't stop those things and those conditions from coming into your experience. But if you're sitting in neutrality, it makes it way easier to decide and respond and choose the higher path that's possible in any given situation. And so overall, this lunation is really highlighting these themes of moving from the head to the heart when it comes to the self and the other, seeing the other and the external world as a mirror for your internal landscape, recalibrating that relational energy and learning where compromise becomes self-betrayal, looking at things like people pleasing and where you're putting your own needs aside to keep the peace. Like those sorts of situations are going to come to a head with this sort of energy. So if you've been putting your own needs aside and biting your tongue, the universe is going to push you into situations where you literally can't, right? So you better address that shit while you can from neutrality, instead of letting it bubble to a point where you can't control it and then you end up saying something impulsive or doing something that you can't come back from, kind of idea, okay? Your words and your actions are very much aligned with this sort of energy. You can't fake the frequency, so you can't hide any of that shit anymore. Liberation is going to come through facing it, right? And the best way to face it is when you calm your body down and turn your attention inwards, because when you do that with enough practice and with enough persistence, you're going to feel an undeniable connection to source and the divinity that lies between every single one of your cells. You're going to realize it's all just a silly game anyways. Nothing really matters. So you don't need to really get upset, right? And that everything is you. So there's nothing to fight against. As more of us continue to get on this wavelength and practice this way of being from neutrality, living from the heart and letting your actions serve your heart space instead of the other way around, we're going to see more of the collective restructuring, and then the external systems and the environment is going to start to reflect that. Okay. So as far as working with this lunation in particular, I invite you to come on over to Soultivation. I'm hosting another free moon circle, full moon circle, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Wednesday. This is going to be a members only event eventually, but for now, we're doing our open house for the month of November. So come on over, no cost to join, absolutely free to hop into the moon circle. Donations are appreciated if you'd like to support me in continuing to do this work. It is like a traditional moon circle where we're going to do a bit of sharing. If you're open for that, I'll give a little bit of the scoop on the energies, and then we're going to do a somatic ritual together in order to shake that density out of our tissues, because the moon is a magnet. It's meant to pull things to the surface from us. And if you intentionally send that shit to the moon, you become lighter, remove the density of those laws from you, and you're able to exist in a more spacious, heart-centered way of being. Okay, so come on over. If you can't attend live, there's a replay. If you're a more solo practitioner, some fire magic would probably be appropriate with the moon being in Aries. So maybe write out all the things that you don't want to bring with you in this new paradigm and burn that shit safely. Like, caution, have water nearby if you're doing this inside kind of idea. All right. So that kind of idea, writing things out and burning it, body work to shake that shit out of your tissues. And then, as I say on almost every video, I think I've said it like 3 or 4 times in this one as well, the 2 simple steps to enlightenment: calm your body down and go within. That is my number one advice with every lunation, no matter what the stars are doing. Calm your body down and go within, and the answers will make itself known. So that's it for this transmission. If you want to learn more about this lens of astrology, check out the link in my bio or in the comments of this video. If you're watching it on YouTube, I've got a freebie, an ebook, and a self-paced study course. I've also got some space for mini readings if you want me to have a look at your chart, full chart readings, or you can also apply to work with me one-on-one. And if you're still listening to this transmission, thank you so much for supporting me with your ears and eyes and heart. And I will see you in the next one.